ونماء أمة.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 47 years have passed since the great October War victory. Actually, this victory was not only a military victory, it was a military lesson that the whole world is still learning from. But over and above, it was a lesson for the whole world on all levels, psychological level, social level, on all levels. The Egyptians gave the whole world a lesson about sacrifice, about belonging, about their love for their country. In order to know more about how this great war changed the Egyptians and changed the perception about Egypt and the Egyptians for the whole world, we're very much delighted to have with us Dr. Nermine Roushdy, human capacity expert and management consultant. It's great having you with us, Dr. Nermine. Thank you for coming.
How are you, Hala? Thank you so much.
Now, to start with, to what extent did the October War victory affect the spirit of the Egyptians and the perception of the whole world about the Egyptian people?
The October War turned the perspective of Egyptians concerning relevant to the world, I think 180 degrees, because you know it was quite a switch from total mess and defeat to a huge victory. It's known as the 6 Days World War, and it serves in boosting the self-esteem of the Egyptians, as they actually took a very voluntary role to prove their patriotism and their support to the Egyptian army, to help us all actually through. I think this effect is extended till our generation and the generations after us in making Egypt have a remarkable role on in the global perspective, and a unique effect. So how all collaborated, the army, the military, the people themselves. So I think they did a very huge and positive role.
Dr. Nermine, since this program focuses primarily on the role of women, it's very important to highlight the role of women before, during, and after the war. What was the role played by women in motivating people in all levels during the war, before and after?
Egyptian women played a very important role in through the transitional period, starting from the
1967.
Yes, which is called the defeat era. They help in building the spirit of their children, their husbands, their brothers, the family in general, to go forward, to exert all what they have for in the patriotism umbrella, to support the army, whether they volunteer or they work in the Egyptian Red Cross, Red Crescent, blood donations, even supporting the army by food, water, shelter. I think this was the preparation phase. And during the war itself, the women played a very important role because they volunteered in the army. They made this first aid stations. They actually there was a very huge role for some nurses at a certain place in Sinai. I don't recall the place right now, but they actually donated their blood to the soldiers and the military people when the supply of blood was so slow to be received because of the it was a war zone.
Bedouin women also supported the army in various ways.
A lot, yes. They have the I think there was this lady who sacrificed herself and her child when she went as a camouflage to get data for the Egyptian army, to help them to allocate the enemy and to know.
I think she was portrayed in Al-Ikhtiyar Ramadan series, I believe.
Yes. She has a very remarkable role, and this story is actually, is been told from one generation to another to highlight the role of the Egyptian women and the Bedouin women for the October War.
Dr. Nermine, speaking about telling one generation and another about the patriotism of the Egyptians and the role the Egyptians played, we cannot forget the remarkable speech by late President Anwar al-Sadat, and how motivating it was, and how it sort of enlightened the spirit of fighting and the spirit of belonging for the Egyptian people, and how so many people still go to the YouTube and listen to it until this very moment, day. Yes, as a human development expert, how do you see that?
You know that as a human, we need this boost to need somebody to help us have this to grow, to believe in ourselves, have this self-image. And the late President Sadat was such a charismatic character, and he knows how to stress on this point, because you know we are Oriental people at the end of the day, so we are emotional by nature. So boosting this spirit inside them and having his emotional and encouraging words help people to move forward and to take the initiative to take a step forward, not waiting for the army or the country to ask them to do whatever they have. They actually did what was in their capacity and even beyond that to prove this point. And I think this is it's very clear, because I think in all our homes we have a soldier, a military person, or a story about
Yes.
October War. So I think this is transferred
And the
from one generation.
storytelling was very important
Yes.
in upbringing the children and the grandchildren.
Of course,
Storytelling
because
was
they didn't
pivotal.
see, they didn't witness it. So actually they don't comprehend the concept of war and the concept of sacrifice and patriotism. So by having it live, you know, not beside listening to the YouTube or going to the media to know stories, having it from the family, from a grandfather, from a grandmother who witnessed such a story, help in enriching and in you know, the building the infrastructure of the patriotism and boosting this thing inside them,
Yes.
that they really want to know more and want to hear about more.
The October War victory was not only a military victory, it
Yeah.
was the victory of the people themselves after
True.
they suffered from defeat. How do you see that?
I see it very inspiring. It's very strong story, because you know how to transform people from having huge negative energy and feeling grief and anger and defeated and
Frustration.
lost and frustration, because you know we already lost a huge strategic area in Egypt, which was Sinai. So having this victory helped to transform the spirit of the people and to believe in themselves and to have this self-belief that I will do it. It's not all, and it enriches the concept of we, not I. You know, this is from the human development perspective. So people are working together hand in hand, because you know,
And bearing all the suffering during that time, which was
course.
also included economic suffering.
it was a
as well.
huge economic suffering, because we have to build the army, you have to transform the defeat to a huge victory. We have to cope over and above the negative energy that was so there, because you know, I think we heard it, that in every home we had a loss.
Yes.
So it was a huge burden on a psychological perspective to be doing this, but Egyptians are strong. They really know how to bear all this anger and all this negative energy, and to recharge themselves and to, you know, spread around this positive energy. And
This is very important. If we're talking about positive energy, Dr. Nermine, how important is it in building a society, especially after coming out from war?
We have to work on it. You know, people earlier didn't believe in the energy and vibes and how it has an impact on society and living, but yes, it has a very huge impact, because you know, if we take a small example by having a person who is in grief for losing somebody, and we just let this person to dwell in his grief or in his, you know, misery, and he will be so absorbed and drained. But by having the positive boost around and having people support, people encouraging, or people allow him to breathe out or let go this negative vibes, eventually he will move, or he will recover from this phase and will move forward. So I always stress that we try to look on the bright side, you know, and this happened in the October War. We try to look at the bright side, which is we are here, we are there, we are capable, together we can make it. So what if we are suffering from an economic situation for the time being, but we are going to recover and we are going to make it work. And this is what happened actually on the real ground basis after the...
So it was the belief, the faith in the government, the faith in the army, the faith in the leadership.
I have this saying that I always believe in, which says the only way out is in, the best control comes from within. So I think by applying this, it's actually applied, because you know, if you deep down inside you don't believe that you want to get rid of this, you know, negative energy, break out these taboos, we will not be able to survive actually, because you know, if you left somebody, for example, these people who suffer la qadar Allah from depression or something, if they are left alone, the depression eats them out. So simultaneously, if you don't have the initiative to break this negative thing that is wrapping you around and not allowing you to bloom and grow, so this will lead to a loss. But I think no, I think by nature we are, as Egyptians, we hate to be living in this negative energy for long. We like to enjoy life, and we like to move forward, we like to achieve success. So I think yes.
And from there, I would also take it about how the Israelis were practicing psychological war against the Egyptians, the famous Barlev indispensable line, and how the Egyptians did not believe that and believed in themselves more than what has been said, the propaganda in the media. And
yes,
so on.
because simply it went down by water. It just went down by having a pipe and there's like gushing water against this wall, and then it fell apart.
The idea here is that
Simple.
you do not surrender to what is being told to you. You simply think about how to overcome it. That's the whole point.
Yes, yes. And look behind the scene. Don't look behind the psychological projection and the huge propaganda and whatever false idea they're trying to implant in your head, because deep down inside you know that you can and you believe in yourself. And by simple things, you just have this like big barrier just like falling apart.
How do you see the role of the media or the soft power like drama and series and movies in boosting the spirit of the October War for the younger generations? We had movies like Al Mamar, for example.
Yes, and we have the in last Ramadan, you know, this Al-Ikhtiyar. Actually, it really touched the young generation, from the teenager, from children at the age of 6 and 7, because they are starting to comprehend.
And we have so many stories about heroism and great Egyptians who sacrificed their souls.
If you review the feedback after this series during Ramadan, you will find that children from the age of 7 up to 15 and 16, or up to the high school, they have this boost. They are asking questions, they are keen to know. It actually attracted their attention. So I think media has a very positive role in implanting patriotism, in trying to attract the children attention to how far the army is playing a huge role in securing the country, and how much the army and all other Egyptians sacrifices to maintain the welfare of the country as a whole.
Yes. Dr. Nermine Roushdy, a human capacity expert and management consultant, I'd like to thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you, Hala. It's always a pleasure seeing you.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's all for this special episode of Women's World, celebrating the glory 1973 October War victory. I'm Hala Al-Hamalawi. Thank you very much for being with us.